Hello, welcome back to Cookery Lessons. I'm going to make my favourite dessert. I hate to admit it because it's French. Tarte Tartin is superb. Caramel, apples, puff pastry. What could possibly go wrong? Anyway, I will now run you through the ingredients. There's a recipe on the screen for you there in imperial and metric. I've chosen some dramatic music because this is a dramatic dessert. Puff pastry, sugar, butter, Granny Smith apples. That's it. I'm going to show you how I peel an apple. I'm sure you've done this before. You'll notice in the bowl there's some lemon. That's the juice of one lemon squeezed into some cold water. That helps to keep them from oxidizing and discolouring. Useful trick. If you're doing this a long time in advance, a pinch of salt even protect them for a bit longer, apparently. In one go, just showing off really. Anyway, do all the apples. Done. You notice some different size ones. I bought a packet of 6, but they're very small, so just in case it wasn't enough, I bought 3 separate ones and they happen to be larger. Quarter them and then just remove a little bit of the core. If you have an apple corer, which I don't because I'm not posh enough, you can do the coring before you cut them in quarters. Save yourself a bit of time. You don't need one. What I'm doing there, this is the pan I'm going to make it in. I'm choosing a plate that's a bit bigger. That's the largest plate I had though. Wasn't quite big enough for what I want, so in the end I'll show you what I do. But what we're going to do here is we're going to roll out the puff pastry. This is from the fridge, it's a bit hard. That's quite a useful technique to start it going, pressing the rolling pin, and we'll speed that up because it's a bit boring. But do this in this order. Have your pastry ready to go before you start making your caramel and your apples, because you can't then leave that to do this and burn. So, plate over the pastry, and because it wasn't still quite big enough, I wanted it, you need an overlap. So I've got about, what's that, about an inch? A couple of centimetres? What is it they say about people that can draw a perfect circle? They're a bit mad? Yeah. Explains a lot. Just showing you how thin that is, a few millimetres. I want to have a very, very clean pan before I start making the caramel, so this is what I always do. Add some water to a very hot pan, let it boil away for a minute. Any impurities that will come up, and actually you can see some there. I think I might have done the washing up last time. Anyway, so get rid of that. I know I've got a lovely clean pan now. I'll skip through this process. But what you'll see me do is I'm not using a spoon at any stage or a whisk. I'm just allowing the sugar to start melting, and then once it starts to become a bit liquid, you can see by tilting the pan you can move the sugar around. This isn't on a high heat, this is on a fairly medium heat. So it takes a few minutes, but you really start to get there in the end. If you ever feel like it's going to burn a bit, then you can stir it a little bit. Try to resist that. Right, we're just about ready for the butter. Now there's 2 reasons. Obviously the first one everyone knows is butter makes everything better. But the other one as well is when this cools down a bit later on, that butter will keep that caramel a little bit soft. It makes it easier for you to get it out of the pan. There you go. We'll speed that up because it looks good. Well, when you get to this stage, you need to turn off the heat. You don't want this to cook anymore because you're going to get the apples in. There you go. Confirmation on the screen. Presentation side down. Very important. Start on the outside edge. Speed it up. Try to get as many apples in there as you can. For this recipe, it's probably 1 apple too much. But you really got to try to pack them in. Even if it looks like it's too much, get another couple in pieces in because they will shrink while they cook with water release. And so then you'll end up with a tart with gaps in it. There you go. Now, before you add the pastry, let's get these apples started. So I'm simmering them away, low heat again, for about 8 to 10 minutes. Ready for the pastry. Got to act quickly. The pan's hot. Pastry doesn't like the hot. It will start to melt on the edges. So you've got to be quite quick with this bit. I'm going to use the end of a spoon, something like that. Something you don't want to tear this pastry with a knife. You've got to encourage it in, and you've got to man up a little bit here. The pan is a bit hot. You may just sort of burn the tips of your fingers a little bit, but it's all part of the pain. You've got to put your love into this. People are going to be amazed when you serve this to them and you say that you made it yourself. And you can show them your blister on your finger for proof. Really got to tuck it in. I'm being very pedantic about this bit. If you don't tuck it in around the outside of the apples between the pan, you'll have shrinkage of the pastry and you won't have a full tart. A few holes will help the steam escape when it's cooking so that it doesn't puff up too much. This took about 30 minutes, but it varies. You've got to cook it until the pastry is cooked, which is obvious, but 180 degrees. 350 Fahrenheit approximately. Now allow that to cool down. This is important here. Don't turn it straight away. I let this cool down all the way to room temperature, and then when I wanted to turn it, it was just a bit caught on the edges, so I just warmed it back on the stove for about 30 seconds just to soften the caramel. Right, confidently, one go. There you go. Now, this is the nervous bit. I'm always nervous here. Did it turn out well? I am so happy with that. Maybe the best Tarte Tartin I've ever made for you. Anyway, thank you very much for watching Uncle Matt's Cookery Lessons. Do give this a go. A dollop of ice cream with it, or just some double cream is wonderful. See you in the next episode. Please don't forget to subscribe and give me a thumbs up. See you soon. Bye.